One day, Percy was puffing along the branch line. He was taking some stone cars to Farquhar Station. As he crossed the bridge, the rails creaked and the bridge groaned. "What was that?" asked Percy. "The bridge is starting to get weak. We better tell Sir Topham Hatt," said his driver. Later at the station, Percy talked to Sir Topham Hatt about the bridge. "Thank you for telling me, Percy. I'll have the bridge looked at and we will work on strengthening it," said Sir Topham Hatt. Percy finished his day's work and went back to the sheds. Toby and Thomas were already there. "The bridge by the river is beginning to break," Percy told the others. "Rubbish," said Thomas. "That bridge is as safe as our shed. It won't break." "I don't know," said Toby thoughtfully. "We should at least take care when we cross it." The next day, Percy and Toby were shunting cars at the quarry. Toby needed to take some workmen back to the station for a shift change. Percy left with the train to the station. As he came to the bridge, he saw the signal was down. He stopped as Thomas came around the bend from the other direction. "Watch me, Percy," said Thomas. He sped up and crossed over the bridge at a fast pace. Nothing to it, and Thomas continued on with his train. Percy sighed and puffed slowly and carefully over the bridge. As he left, though, no one noticed the beams that fell off the bridge into the dried-up riverbed. Toby arrived shortly after and stopped before the bridge, even though the signal was down. "What's wrong, Toby?" asked his driver. Toby sighed. "Just remembering," and he chuffed cautiously over the bridge. Toby had remembered the time when some freight cars had pushed him onto a broken bridge, and he had dangled over a raging river like a tightrope walker. "I hope Thomas doesn't rush on the bridge too much," he said to himself. At the station, Thomas was letting off passengers as Percy shunted some cars into a siding. "So, that bridge is pretty sturdy, eh, Percy? If you keep rushing across that bridge, it will fall, and you'll crash into the riverbed," warned Percy. "Yeah, right," scoffed Thomas. "I haven't had an accident in a good while, and I don't intend to have one anytime soon." And Thomas left the station in a huff. "I hope you do have an accident," said Percy to himself, and he too left the station. A few days later, Sir Topham Hatt called Percy and Toby to the station. "Mavis will help you two reconstruct the bridge. It should only take a few days. While it's under repair, you must take care of crossing the bridge so it doesn't collapse." "Yes, sir," said the engines, but they were worried about Thomas. Mavis left stone cars at the station, and Toby and Percy took them to the bridge. Thomas hadn't been working on the branch line for a few days as he had been needed to help with a small project on the Scarlowy Railway. When he came back, the bridge was at its weakest. Thomas collected some empty cars from the yard and rushed off to the quarry. On his way, he noticed some danger signs. "That's strange," he said. "Where are their danger signs?" "They must be repairing the bridge now," said his driver. "Maybe we should slow down," said Thomas. He started to apply his brakes, but then suddenly, On! Shouted the cars. "Whoa, stop!" said Thomas, but the cars were already pushing him along. Toby saw Thomas running loose and began to chase after him. The cars kept pushing and pushing. "Slow down," said Toby, but Thomas couldn't. The cars kept on pushing him along the line. Soon he approached the bridge. Toby slowed down and pulled into a siding. "Help!" cried Thomas as he slammed his brakes. The cars pushed him farther onto the bridge. The bridge groaned loudly, the rails sank and collapsed. Thomas and his cars found themselves in the bottom of the riverbed. "Are you all right, Thomas?" called Toby. "I think so," said Thomas. He was ashamed. Toby went back to the station for help, and soon he and Percy arrived with the breakdown train, and Sir Topham Hatt. "Thomas, Percy told me everything. It was very foolish of you to tease Percy and not take better judgment. You will stay in your shed until the repairs are complete, he said sternly. Yes, sir, said Thomas. He was very embarrassed and ashamed. After Thomas was rescued, Percy shunted him back to Tidmouth Sheds. Percy, I'm sorry for not listening to you. Percy didn't say anything to Thomas as he shunted him back to the yard. Thomas felt miserable. A few days later, the bridge was fully mended and Thomas was back at work. Percy arrived at the station with a goods train. Hello, Thomas, he said cheerfully. Glad to see you're back. Hello, Percy, said Thomas. Look, it's okay. I forgive you now. You learned your lesson. Thank you, said Thomas as he puffed away with Annie and Clarabelle. When he arrived at the bridge, Thomas slowed down and crossed it very carefully. He never ignored warnings again.